What a pleasure it was to watch John Major be interviewed for a whole hour this week. I have clipped some of the best bits and the most poignant parts, which indicate where we are and what we need to do to get out of the mess we're in. In short, we need growth back, and the only way we're going to get growth back is by ditching Brexit.
Can't help but note that you don't often do TV interviews these days. So I must start by asking why you've agreed to do this one.
Well, it's a rather unusual question, but I'll give you a strictly truthful answer. There were two reasons, really. One, because it was a lengthy interview, and I do think a large number of the short interviews I see merely produce soundbite answers. They don't really inform the public. And secondly, though I probably shouldn't say this, it's 65 years since I joined the Conservative Party. I was, am, and always will be a Conservative. But in recent months, little longer than a few months, there's not been a great deal I could say that I would wish to say in favour of what the previous government were doing. That being so, I thought it better just to stay off the air. Now, of course, the election's behind us. The party's looking again to the future, and I can return to speaking out, hopefully in favour.
Well, there's a lot to get into. Let's start with where we are as a country, the country that you led for 7 years. You used to say vocally, publicly, that you dreamt of a nation at ease with itself. Has your dream come true?
Well, emphatically not. Indeed, quite the reverse at the moment. Wherever you look, not just in our country, let me add, but right across Europe and the United States, there's a great deal of dissatisfaction. And a large part of it has come about from one single effect, and that is the financial crisis of 2007 to 8, which has cast a very long shadow. And of course, there were other things that were not the result of any individual national government. The COVID pandemic, for example, was something that was unexpected. The Ukraine war, with all the difficulties created for governments right the way across Europe because of the increase in fuel prices. And the net result of all of those, I think, is a great deal of dissatisfaction and a great deal of pressure on democracy, with the belief that it has been failing the electorates.
Well,
and you've seen that in the volatility of the electorate in the last two general elections.
Well, a lot of voters do think democracy is failing them, particularly young people, for reasons that we'll get onto. But just before we do that, and going back to where we are as a country today, Labour are back in power after 14 years. Given your answer to my first question about your party, would you say, did your party, the Conservatives, deserve to lose?
I think there's a time when democracy needs a change of government. I could see that in 1997. We had been in government for 18 years, and it was perfectly true to say that we were tired and that we were running out of fresh ideas, and we were running out of fresh people to make ministers and re-inject the government with vigour. And of course, the same thing applies, although it was only 14 years on this occasion, but 14 years plus the difficulties that I've just been talking about.
We're talking shortly after some data published showed there's been a really significant fall in this country in national pride. Very significantly fewer people are proud to be British and are proud of this country's history. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think because they're not seeing us succeed. I think there are a range of reasons. That's partly because of their own personal experience. It's partly because many of the things that they took for granted appear to need reform, appear to be broken.
But you still think liberal democracy and capitalism can deliver for young people who have currently felt for a long time that their future's been stolen from them?
The essential thing is that the economies begin to grow. Absolutely the essential thing is that the economies begin to grow, which is why one or two of the things the new government are doing, I think, are wrong.
Such as?
Well, I think going for capital gains tax. If you want the economy to grow, don't start penalising the people who provided money for it to grow.
The government says they need the money. We're skint, need to raise money, £22 billion fiscal hole.
I've heard that dreary tale forever. I spent time as a PPS in the Treasury. I was Chief Secretary of the Treasury, responsible for public expenditures. I was Chancellor, and I was First Lord of the Treasury. I've heard that dreary tale again and again and again. And I think there's a degree of hyperbole about what is happening at the moment. And the Labour Party have got themselves hooked on one or two silly policies before they're really ready to pursue something more.
Done to and for your party?
Well, Brexit has been the most divisive thing that has happened in our party in my lifetime. And it is less important what it has done to our party than what it has done to our country.
That was going to be my next question. What do you think it has done?
Well, I don't think it's done anything good. If I may just reflect on it for a moment, it's made our country weaker, poorer, and that is emphatically not in the interests of our country. The world saw us as a member of the European Union. It was a megaphone to magnify our power in the world. So instead, we are isolated and outside.
Did it have to be thus? I mean, could Brexit not have, if delivered in a different way, could it not have fulfilled the promise of those who advocated it, which is that it would make us richer and more free?
Well, it's done exactly the reverse, hasn't it? What has happened to all the benefits of Brexit that we heard about?
Well, maybe they're yet to come.
Well, I don't recall people saying during the election campaign, in 10 or 15 years' time, maybe 20, we'll have some benefits of Brexit.
But do you not grant that there could be?
No, stop a minute. It was going to be milk and honey straight away. And it wasn't milk and honey. And Brexit was sold to the nation on the basis of things that haven't happened and couldn't have happened. There was a great degree of misapplication of reality, if I can put it in that delicate way.
Do you mean lies?
That's another way of putting it, that were actually told to the people about what Brexit was going to be about. And a large amount of that came from Conservative sources, not all of it. There were some very senior Labour sources, part of that, at exactly the same time. But I don't see the great advantages that were going to come from Brexit having come yet. And I don't see any likelihood that they're suddenly going to magically appear in the future. Why do people not look at the practical example, the practical effect that we are poorer? And that is not some statistic. Being poorer means taxes are higher, expenditure on public services are lower. That's actually what it means. And that is what has actually happened because of the false promises of Brexit. People said we were going to get our sovereignty back. Well, up to a point, that's true. We now have sovereignty to be poorer. We have sovereignty to be less influential. Well, so if you ask, am I resolved? The Brexiteers now say, oh, well, get over it. It's all gone. If my house had been burgled, I would be pretty fed up if the burglar then said, well, it's all over now, forget about it.
So would you advocate going back into either the single market or the customs union?
I don't think it's practical at the present moment. I don't think it is politically practical at the present moment, but I think it will happen. The next generation, the young generation, when they voted overwhelmingly to stay in the European Union. In 10 years' time, when they and their compadres are in Parliament and running the country, it may be possible to get back. But the Brexiteers did a good job in making it difficult because we not only insulted our neighbours, but in addition to that, we have lost all the special advantages we had, the rebates, the opt-out from the social chapter, and the opt-out from the single currency. All those things are gone. If we were sought to get back, we would probably have to accept them or we couldn't get back. So it may be that that is going to be more than Parliament at any stage I can see will accept in the foreseeable future. What they'll do in the long-term future, who can tell, because who knows how circumstances will change. But the Brexiteers did a very good job in dividing us from Europe, even though they did a very bad job in proving our prosperity and our wealth when they did so.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below and let me know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. You can also hit the notification button and that will send you an alert each time I post a video.